Being a spectator to human suffering can be one of the most uncomfortable situations to be in. When you see a situation that breaks your heart, every fiber of your being wants to help, but it isn't always possible or realistic to do so. As Pastors Ronnie and Crystal Stewart knew their Pasco County, Florida community was hurting, the homeless population only seemed to grow and grow, so the married couple did whatever they could to make an impact. The Stewarts created Refuge Church, which partnered with Metropolitan Ministries to serve free hot meals to the homeless every Tuesday and Saturday. They fed 500 people per week. In November 2015, however, the couple witnessed a truly heartbreaking scene. Ronnie and Crystal had been working when they saw a toddler watching them through glass doors. The little boy stood beside his brother and their parents, who Crystal knew to be drug addicts. The family had been sitting on a trash heap all day. The parents had been attending the feeding program for a few weeks, Crystal later wrote. It was evident at the time that the children were in need, and I knew we were placed in this community to meet needs. She wasn't exactly sure how she could help, but she felt that she needed to somehow. Unfortunately, storm clouds were rolling in that evening. We began imagining the night these boys were about to have as we were getting ready to go home to a warm, dry house, Crystal wrote. She couldn't stomach the thought, so she proposed a radical idea. Since the parents are high and refuse to go to a shelter, she said to Ronnie, should we just ask them if we can take their babies home for a warm bath and bed for the night? It was crazy. What parent would let their children stay with complete strangers? But Ronnie asked anyway, and when he returned to his wife's side, he delivered shocking news. He started. They said yes. Crystal was stunned. My heart stopped as I heard my husband's words. Permission granted, Crystal, a practiced mother of 3, noticed the brothers had no clothes and both were wearing very soiled diapers, she said. She grabbed an old polo shirt for the youngest and loaded the boys into the car. Was she doing the right thing? She hadn't answered quickly. Within 5 minutes of driving down the road, she wrote, the rain began to fall and I couldn't help but stare in my rearview mirror, amazed and overwhelmed that God provided a refuge for these boys. Ronnie and Crystal brought the boys, whose names she kept private, home where the couple's 3 kids, 15-year-old Ronnie Jr., 13-year-old Riley, and 8-year-old Sella, were waiting. The couple went right to work giving the boys everything they needed. The first thing was obvious. Crystal drew a bath and gave both the boys a good wash. She had to bathe them twice, I think 3 times, just to get the dirt off them, Ronnie said. She fed the boys too. Meanwhile, Ronnie was hard at work preparing the bedroom. There, Ronnie set up a playpen and a twin mattress for the boys to sleep on. After their little house guests were clean and fed, Crystal recalled them going right to sleep. The little toddler slept for like 10 hours. When was the last time they'd had such a peaceful night? As much as the Stewarts enjoyed the 2 boys' company, they knew they had to bring them back to their parents the following morning. We gave the parents our phone numbers, Crystal said, and told them if you ever need us to take the boys, we're willing to do it. Crystal and Ronnie then tried setting up the parents with housing, but regretfully they were met with resistance. Because of their lifestyle of substance abuse, they wanted to live out with their homeless population, she said. But what would become of the boys? Just 1 day later, on Sunday morning, the Stewarts had an answer. As Crystal and Ronnie left their church, the boys' parents approached them along with an unknown person in tow, a social worker. The social worker explained that they'd been investigating the family for some time and had determined that the children would need to be removed from their parents for safety reasons. The parents, devastated, had proposed a solution of their own. The homeless parents asked if Ronnie and Crystal would be willing to temporarily watch the children in order to keep them out of the foster system. The parents needed an answer immediately. Crystal and Ronnie didn't have to dwell on the question long. Of course they'd watch over the boys for a while. In an instant, their family had temporarily grown from 5 to 7. Little did they know that months later, the Stewarts would have to make a tough choice. We've now been faced with the decision to adopt or place the boys in foster care, Crystal wrote in March of 2016. We're absolutely positive that God has placed them in our lives for a purpose and to love them as our own. There was only one problem. Though Crystal and Ronnie had signed the consent forms and worked through the legal process, they needed $10,000 to make the adoption final. The couple shared their story with GoFundMe, hoping to earn the necessary money to keep the boys in their home. Miraculously, the couple exceeded the fundraising goal, earning 4 times the amount they'd originally asked for. With enough money in their pockets, they could adopt the boys as permanent members of their family. a beautiful blessing, as Crystal called it. From that moment, Crystal and Ronnie learned a lot about what she dubbed God's sense of humor. My husband laughs as he remembers the conversation we had the day before we met the boys. Crystal wrote, I was 6 weeks post-op from a total hysterectomy after battling an early cancer diagnosis, and sadly, we said, no more kids for us, wrote Crystal. Little did she know 2 little ones would be waiting for her in the near future. Just take a look at Ronnie and Crystal's amazing feat of human compassion in the footage below. Because of their love, 2 young boys who were formerly homeless now have a stable, loving home to grow up in. The world would be a better place if more people practiced kindness like Ronnie and Crystal. These 2 little boys now have a real chance at living happy, healthy lives now that they have a loving family looking after them.